we're ready.
Okay. I would like to call the meeting of the Library Board Strategic Planning Committee together at 6:29, almost 6:30. All right, we'd all stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, Brittany, could you please call the roll?
All right, Michelle.
Here.
Camille.
Here.
Gail.
We're here.
Heyo.
And the statement of public notice?
This meeting was noticed in accordance with the open meeting law.
All right. Seeing no one here from the public, I think we can move on from public comment to the approval of the minutes of October 3rd, 2019. Looking for a motion to approve.
I will make a motion to approve.
Second?
Second.
Michelle will second. All those in favor? Oh, anything you see or anything that needs to be changed or anything like that? Any discussion?
No, looked good to me.
All right. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
None opposed? Chairperson's report, I think I'll defer to you, Brittany. It's about the same topic. So we'll move on to unfinished business, which is a discussion, no action needed on this particular agenda item, of the strategic plan 2020 to 2023.
All right, so I put this in the unfinished business column just because this is what we talked about last time, and so this is what we're here for again. And then you'll note in new business, I have an action to vote to recommend the strategic plan to the full library board. Now, again, if we don't feel like we're ready and need to meet again, then we defer that action item to the next meeting. And
Thank you for sending the PowerPoint information
yes,
to us.
yes, absolutely.
It worked
Happy.
out really well to be able to take the time to read it.
Yeah.
I haven't looked at it yet because I wanted to, because of tonight. So, but I do, it's on my list.
Absorb the data.
Yes. So last time we spoke, we had gone through, I would say, packet pages. Let's see. We were up through 11, really. Nope. Up through packet page 10, I think. And I'm just going to...
And did we only get so far because of the PowerPoint?
No,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was...
time.
Right,
Yeah.
because we spent more time
Yep.
and
Yeah.
it
So
should be on the PowerPoint.
We discussed about the trends for the state of Wisconsin up until through 2016. We discussed the library, Muskego Library's data specifically leading up to 2016, and then over the length of this past strategic plan, how we've been doing, what our trends were, and what that could, that's an important lens to have in the back of our mind as we looked at the data. And then the next step was basically moving into what we got from the surveys, the focus groups, the testimonials, all those things. And so what you'll see, this was new from the last draft. I had started to summarize some of that demographic and trend analysis into the strategic narrative on packet page 11. So I just tried to pick some of the highlights out because, again, if we think about this document as a time capsule to this process, we kind of want people to know, what were we thinking about when we, had the things that come next. So I cherry-picked some of the ones that I thought were, for me, helpful to be thinking about as we looked at the data. And then the plan duration, which I sort of mentioned, meaning I was recommending a 4-year plan as opposed to a 3-year plan and then the plan progress, that section, which talks about how the library board will be communicated to through action plans, which is derived from the strategic plan each year. So I think that plan progress seems to work. It's nice to have an action plan every year to help make sure that we're not forgetting anything and we're staying true to the strategic plan. So I think that seems to have been working, at least in my opinion.
Well, and it's nice to be able to look at that and say, okay, this is what was put on there to get accomplished, and okay, now this is when that was accomplished, to kind of refresh your memory.
Right. Yeah.
what was decided.
Yeah, again, a good time capsule of the year. Okay, so then packet page 12. So basically, everything that you see here from now until the end is just, as we looked at the surveys, these action items are either based on people's direct comments, or, for instance, the focus group questions. What is Muskego missing? What is Muskego missing? What do you like about Muskego? Those were very intentional questions because, and I didn't want to necessarily know about the library because if people say Muskego's missing restaurants, well, it's not the mission of the library to build a restaurant, right? But can we offer more food-related programs or bring in new food-related opportunities? So really what I was looking for from that question is if people keep saying it needs more restaurants, that is where can we as a library intersect while still staying true to our mission, right? Again, I'm not going to build an Olive Garden in the library, but can I offer new food opportunities,
like
events, or programs?
We were just talking about.
Sure, things like that.
Or you're bringing a chef, maybe a local area chef in.
Right.
To do a discussion of wintertime foods or gluten-free foods.
Exactly.
I have celiac. There is not enough information out there for...
Right.
It's getting much better. But if there could be somebody who could come in and just... talk about gluten-free foods. I mean, I'm just throwing that out there. I mean, just little things like that you don't think about until you all of a sudden have these things.
Right.
Yeah. So I mean, that would be fun. That would be awesome. Find a way to have gluten-free bread taste good.
Right.
There is a gluten-free bread at Health Hut. I don't know if you knew that.
I have every gluten-free bread. I just can't.
It's horrible.
I just miss
Anyway,
the good
sorry.
stuff. Yeah.
So what we did with the focus group and interview questions is we put it all into a huge spreadsheet, and then we coded it based on topic, and then we could sort it out and see how frequently those comments were happening. And anything that was happening frequently, again, that's how you see some of these comments come up, or ideas or action items. So all of these action items are either directly, like many people saying, I really want X, or we were reading between the lines, and when people say, hey, Muskego's missing this, or we really like this about Muskego, like, okay, maybe we should do more of this. So, but they're all backed by the data. And as I mentioned, the goals, the ones in bold, are from the previous strategic plan. I really tried to see if there were any new goals, and I think I included one and I removed one. I took away the children's area because that's done, and I added, we'll get to it. But yeah, so that's where all these items came from. And at the beginning, I tried to be very intentional about creating a little paragraph before each strategic initiative that tied back to the data collection, because I wanted to make a little call out, almost like a citation or a reference, so that when people look at it, we're referring back to the data collection that we did. So each of the paragraphs before each of these action item lists should call back to the data. Okay, so. And Gail was very helpful, and she gave me some editorial feedback, which I'm starting to go through. I apologize that I wasn't able to finish that by the time of this meeting. So just so you know, when you see it in November, it's going to have some changes to it, some editorial changes. And at that point, if there's anything new you see, you can critique it along with the rest of the board at that time. So there's definitely some editorial fixes. So I think what a good goal for today would be is just to say, is the structure of this document sound? And is this something, not necessarily to every period and dot that you would recommend, but do you feel comfortable with this, the heart of it, the actions?
Move forward with it.
That, yeah. Okay, so packet page 12, looking at the first goal for updating the library facility. These were the popular ones. Do you want me to go through them line by line, or do you want to just call out things that you have questions about? Anything from this section that you want to ask me about, or wonder where it came from or why it happened, or concerns or.
This is more for you too, because I made my comments on the edit page, so if there's...
What exactly does it mean about improving the entrance off of Janesville Road?
So
I'm just curious.
I noticed this the day I came for my interview. I feel like that entrance is
driveway.
really tight.
And that's why I was wondering.
The dip.
Quick.
Yes.
It's like, oh, there it is. The sign. You're kind of focused on the sign, and then it's like, I just drove by the entrance.
Yeah.
And if somebody's coming in and going out,
It feels tight. It feels tight.
Okay.
And I'm not the only one who thinks that. It's not just a wish list for me. I was talking to another focus group and they agreed. When I talked to DPW, they said it's technically a standard length. It's also, Janesville is a county road. So they said I have to have a conversation with the county about something, but I feel like since we know the parking lot most likely will have to be redone in 5 years anyway, it's a good time to address
I agree.
that issue.
Yeah, even with a curb cut or something.
Yeah.
I mean, they're just something.
Yeah,
to-
it's not good.
And then I'm always looking in the rearview mirror thinking the guy behind me is going to smash right into me.
Yeah,
Well,
it's
if you
not
have a truck, one of
Yes.
those good side trucks coming in, and you better be
Yeah.
way over just because they can't maneuver that.
They just
Exactly.
need another couple
It
feet.
needs
Yeah.
just something. So
Okay.
I would concur with that.
Yep. I was just curious if that was it because
Yeah. And frankly, I wish I could improve it sooner, but it just does not make sense to fix it before
No.
we do the parking
That
lot.
makes total sense.
And I think I mentioned 2025 is outside of the strategic plan, so is 2024, but I just really wanted to make sure some of these projects were in our memory because they are going to cost some money, and so they just need
The
to
seal
be.
coating's beautiful, but it does show the warts, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. Okay, so the next.
Right. I did have a question.
oh, yeah,
So
absolutely.
Resolve non-capital action items on the 2019 accessibility scan. What were those items, or where are those then?
Huge list. So we got the accessibility scan, and there's just really small things like the weight of the doors are a little too heavy, and you can make adjustments to it to make them easier to open and shut. So there's just a lot of little things that require, a $5 part here, a $10 part here, but it's a long list, and we just need to.
Did they ding
Take
you
the
on the
time.
width of the doors? Because I looked at it when I went
Nope.
in there. They don't, because I don't think they're wide enough for wheelchairs. But
No,
maybe
they did not. The width is standard. They would have. They looked at everything.
Well, that's
so it's a project in itself. To me, it's worth an action item because it's quite a lengthy list. But it's not worth a capital project. Some of the things will be worth a capital project, but there's just it's just something we need to go through and quickly, in my opinion.
And what is RFID implementation?
You know what? That's a great question, and I should spell that out. So, if you didn't mention that in your edits,
I don't think I did.
I should, because Gail was reminding me to read like a reader and not like a
remember
library
your
director.
audience. That's what I
Yep,
kept
that's
saying.
what you said.
We're
Yep.
so close to all of this.
Yeah.
We know what, but even Michelle doesn't know
Yeah, I
because she's
had to
too
ask
new.
that
So
question last year. I think it was. I had no idea what RFID.
radio frequency, identity.
Okay, where is that?
It's
Oh, it's on.
Sorry, it's on
13.
Page 13.
The last.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
okay. Nope, that's okay. Okay, yep. RFID is radio frequency identification. It's adding radio tags to each material that we check out. And so what that allows us to do is check out items more efficiently and quickly. So what you can do is someone could set a whole stack of like 15 CDs, and instead of taking each one, opening it up and scanning the barcode, you take a wand and you just do this.
Perfect.
And then they all check out. And then you haven't missed an item being, same with checking in, right? Let's say we get 600 items to check in over the weekend, right? Because that happens. By Monday, we have 600 items in our book drop. And you just,
Nice.
yeah. And then shelf reading. If there's an item that's in the incorrect spot on the shelf, you walk along and it says, boop, this book's in the wrong spot. So it can correct a lot of human errors that come up.
And I always show this too. This is an RFID sleeve for your charge cards because people have been going and reading your charge card information. So it's used for. So this is RFID block. So it's used in day-to-day living as well as in libraries. It's an overall technology that. So when I put this in the sleeve, or you buy an RFID wallet, your charge cards are protected from being read. So.
And I still have it in here. It's about a third of the libraries in our system have it currently. Technically, in 2019, which I'm still working on, one of my action items was to pursue it to make sure it's still a good idea and what the costs are. So I'm still working on it. I would be surprised if at the end of this year I don't continue to recommend that as a project. But it is something I'm gathering more information on because I don't have as many details as I should. So. Anything else on packet page 12 or 13? All right. Packet page 14 is the start of services. Anything on page 14?
The investigate recording copyright and privacy-friendly children's story times and posting on Facebook. What does that actually mean?
Yeah, this is complicated. So, what we were talking about in the last meeting is making sure that we are constantly innovating and moving forward in that digital landscape.
Right.
So, one of the things that we've been talking a lot about, or thinking a lot about as I've been listening to feedback, is people saying, like, in the winter I don't like to leave the house, or I have kids and they love story times, but I have a really young one and that one's currently napping, so I can't make it to the story times. Or my child's in daytime preschool now, so they can't make the morning story times. So our senior citizens talking about, like, they're not as able maybe to attend. Well, that's about story time, so that's not relevant. But anyway, so I've just sort of been thinking about what other platforms can we try to push out some of our programs with, because, we have our ebooks, we have our audiobooks, there's a platform for streaming films, but our programs are very much tied to the accessibility of our building.
So it'd be something where they could click on Facebook and have like a live thing going.
A
Is that
live
what you're
feed?
saying?
Well, so I've been talking with Abby, and this is why it's investigate and copyright and privacy friendly. So the problem with live streaming is, one, children would be recorded, right? And so you could say, like, we are live recording, we could do that, but that's a concern.
Yes.
The other issue is reading books live and being recorded. There is some discrepancy about what is considered copyright friendly.
Right.
So you'd have to do stories that were in the public domain, or like fairy tales or
It
things.
looks like you're misappropriating their work.
Sure.
So
I didn't think of that, but yeah.
And Abby's done quite a bit of research on it. But what I'm encouraging, or what I would like to encourage that staff to do, is see, is there even some spotlight story times that they can create, even if it's not live? So let's say it's a snowy day, then we post an Abby story time up saying, it's a snowy day, can't make it in. You can still see your favorite children's librarian. Things like that.
Okay.
And, when I think about my daughter, she loves YouTube. I'm not ashamed to admit that. There's all these, like, fairy tales and, like, Itsy Bitsy Spider and
YouTube
stuff.
Also, that is like the wave, I think. They did punch it in and it's right there.
Right. So
nature.
live streaming would be difficult, but I know Abby has such a great stage presence, and I think if she could create sort of a collection of digital content, we could post it randomly. And, like I said, if I need a minute, if Haley is crying, I know that Itsy Bitsy Spider on YouTube or Five Little Monkeys is there, and it's something that she can connect with in a positive way. If I were a parent at home and my kids maybe they're having a rough day, they're sick, and they can't go to the library, and I know that if I scroll through the Facebook feed or go on the library website and there is a YouTube video of their favorite children's librarian there, it's something they could play and repeat over and over again, and all of a sudden, there's my librarian.
Now, related to that, and I probably should have brought this up in the meeting part, about social media and that kind of thing. It creeps me out, so please understand when I say this, that, you can post a picture and it knows who you are.
Yes.
Okay? That you can, like I went on a website, and all of a sudden the website showed up in my Facebook feed.
I know.
Okay.
Or you go on Amazon and you look something up, and all of a sudden it's on your Facebook
It's on your
page.
face. Okay.
Big
And
Brother is
I'm
constantly
not
watching.
saying that I like it. It does creep me out. But if it's legal, if it's all those things, and I realize you have deep privacy concerns, and I appreciate that, is there a way that we can capitalize on that? So let's say somebody watches a YouTube video. Let's say we'll use you, Michelle, as an example. So then you go to Michelle and you say, hey, did you know we have, so you use the social media as a way to contact back to her to say, hey, kind of like what I was saying about the Sally Field example.
Right.
Did you know that we have this or that in the library, or this or that on YouTube? Because technically you'd be doing it without her permission, but you're using her
So
information to take Michelle to the next step about using the library.
Are you
I
suggesting?
like it.
Are you suggesting if there would be a way for me to cultivate the analytics of Michelle's Facebook usage?
I'm not sure because I don't know enough about it. But
Yeah, I
like,
don't
so
know if I feel
if somebody
comfortable
visits
with
the
that.
library's website,
Yeah.
do we have a way, like it or not, to then go back and have the library show up on the Facebook feed without them soliciting the contact? Am I making sense?
Yes, I know what you're
Okay.
saying.
So it
I
could
don't
be
know how
somewhat,
people do
somewhat
that.
pedestrian. Okay, it doesn't have to be necessarily, hey, did you see this, or recognize
Yeah.
your eye in a streaming video and say, oh, Michelle, you were at this or that. But something that allows us to take advantage of that, what I'll call bounce back. It's an old term from marketing, a bounce back coupon, to bring you back into the store for
Sure,
something.
yeah.
So, and I would like us to try and at least explore it. I'm not saying we should do it. I'm not saying I like it. But is there a clean way to utilize people's visits to the website to then cross-reference it to their Facebook page?
So
And then it's a reminder. It's oh yeah, that's right.
You looked at this.
Yeah.
Did
that's
you remember
right.
to sign up?
Yeah.
Like just things like gentle reminders. It doesn't have to necessarily, but it is intrusive.
I know.
I'm very conflicted about it.
Yeah, let's talk about that for a second, because it's interesting, and I would have never thought about it. So let's say it's even possible. Like, let's say we figure out a way to do it. The concern that I have is that, as you mentioned, 9 times out of 10, when people see that, or at least I'm the same way, I'm like, ugh, that's creepy. Like,
It's
I don't
creepy.
I don't
It is
I don't
creepy.
find it useful. When I see it, I go, ugh, how did that happen? It's not enough for me to stop using my
Right.
smartphone or Facebook,
It's
but I
not.
don't feel good about it. It's not like I
yeah.
say, oh, I'm so glad that Facebook reminded me that I'm looking for free weights online. And so my concern is that for every 1 out of 10 people that might be like, ooh, library, 9 out of 10 people will go, ugh, the library. And since we're sort of this last
You would
institution,
be a user. I mean, it would be because you're doing something library. So
Right.
that's why we would be getting back to you about something. I don't know if it would be to people who aren't using the library.
No, but-
And this may be for another day, but it just got me thinking when we were talking about social media. It's people know this stuff goes on. I don't know.
they do, but and maybe the real question is this, like, my age, I still have an ick factor to it. I'm curious what my cousin would say. My cousin is a junior in college.
Right.
Okay.
I wonder if I were to say to her, hey, when you're on Facebook and all of a sudden you see this targeted advertisement based on your previous search history, do you go ugh, or
Maybe it's
do you
only
go
for
whatever?
YA. Maybe it's only for YA. I mean, maybe
And even like the Alexas, you say, Alexa, where's the Walmart located? And then all of a sudden you're getting an email or it's on your Facebook page.
Yeah.
That really freaks me out.
Yeah.
That means that they've heard and they've stored it and they know who I am and they have connected.
Yeah.
I don't have Alexa, but I have friends do.
Yeah.
And we do a dinner every year, picking a different country, and we had Sweden, and
Fun.
we were at our friend's house and they had Alexa, and they asked Alexa to play Swedish music, And the next thing we know, she's got Swedish stuff on her
I
Facebook
know.
page.
I'm not saying I like it,
It's
but is this
just like-
the way our world is at this point? I
It's
mean,
like,
do we have to
wait
join
a
it
minute.
or what?
What I would
it
be,
just creeps me out.
and do we know, have they done marketing studies to show that works? So, for every time you get a guided advertisement based on your search history, what percentage of people actually click on that? I'm curious.
Yeah.
I don't know the
Well,
answer.
the dilemma of click-through is that most people don't click through on their carts. They don't finish their shopping carts and
Right.
all that kind of stuff. So I don't know how necessarily reliable that data is. But, I've been looking at different kinds of houses and different ways of, thinking. And so I looked at this one website, forgive me, and all of a sudden it showed up on my feed, and so I went to show my husband because it was a way to show him what I was looking at.
Yeah.
And we might have clicked on that link so we could see more about it instead of going what I'll call the old-fashioned way,
Sure.
going back into Safari and then typing the website in
Yeah.
because it's easier. It's boom, you touch it.
I do
So
think
maybe there's more of it than we might all assume. It's a convenience.
I'm going
but-
to make a note. I do think at minimum what we need to do, and we mentioned this in the last meeting, is try to figure out how to utilize website analytics better. And maybe that's a good first start. It's less creepy, and something we're certainly capable of is using website analytics to help figure out what our patrons are doing. Now, granted, it's not targeted to the individual user, but if we can learn from that patron behavior, it can improve overall experiences.
Without
So
contacting them, yes.
So I'm going to make a note of that. And, I'm on a committee right now for development of the mobile app, and we've been talking a lot about, again, the analytics there. And so I think that once we get that app, it's all of a sudden going to open up a whole new avenue for our patrons to interact with library services, including virtual library cards. Very cool.
I mean, it's not lost on me that people are preferring text as the main mode. I mean, things are changing. I mean, as much as it makes me incredibly uncomfortable, do we need to be aware and capitalize where we can and where we feel ethically comfortable to do it?
Yeah. And so I think analytics is a good first start, and I'm going to make a note of that.
So I don't know if that belongs somewhere in here too, or because
I would say in communication and outreach,
Yeah.
so I made a note of it in that page.
but we were talking, somehow we got on that topic.
Yeah,
somewhere.
where did we?
Because I was asking about the Facebook, about the children's story.
Oh yeah, the
Okay.
streaming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So basically to close the loop on that. At first I wanted streaming, but then with the privacy and copyright implications, it sort of turned into, can we create some digital content featuring our librarians, or at least our children's librarian, to almost make a YouTube-like feel and see how patrons respond to it. We can track that usage and see if it's a vehicle, that they like. And again, it's not quite digitizing our actual programs, but it's a step in that arena, and it may drive us, further in there. So,
And related to what you said earlier, can our programs be copyrighted to be protected so other libraries, for an example, I'm not saying they shouldn't, but that other libraries aren't showing them? I mean, I guess that's a whole new realm also. These are things that, Abby has created in the course of her employment, so it's a work for hire, so that you would be fine on. But is this copyrighted material copyright Muskego Public Library 2019? I don't know the answer to that.
well, and of course, the minute it is born, content is born, it is automatically copyrighted. It does not have to be registered, so it would automatically have copyright protection.
Yeah, but do you put the legal copyright notice on it? I mean, all those, because that's...
Yeah.
So, it just raises that question. As we put everything out there, are we putting out our copyrighted material?
Right.
Or the world's too complicated.
It is way too complicated.
Anyway, let's proceed. Where are we at?
Anything
here?
else on packet page 14? Otherwise, packet page 15. what you'll see in on this page is me. I was starting to go through the Public Library Standards resource document. It's a checklist of best practices for libraries, and some of the things that I was noticing is that we need to create more formalized structures on certain training. Like we have staff meetings, we have in-service twice a year, but do we have a privacy and confidentiality training module? Because that's really something that when we're onboarding people, I would like to have something that I can say, you do this. Kind of like how the city has OSHA standards that everyone has to go through in bloodborne pathogen. For libraries, privacy and confidentiality is incredibly important. And I want to build something so that when we're onboarding people, they don't just hear about it or have to wait until an in-service. It's something that we can say, yes, they got this, and it's cohesive and uniform, and that sort of ties into that planned orientation program, the inclusive services and ability awareness training. I want to sort of refine and make sure that those things aren't just sort of pieced together or casually mentioned, that it's really formalized so that everyone gets that same training. So that's where a lot of those came from. All right. And Gail, if I know you provided some comments in here, but if there was anything in here that you felt was more than just editorial that you want to mention, this would be a good time.
There are a few things, but I didn't get home to bring my copies.
Yeah.
So
now would be a good time to discuss that. If there was anything major, and like I said, unfortunately I only got through the first, couple pages of it, so I can't remember off the top of my head.
I would have put.
Yeah, anything on packet page 16?
Yeah, that's no help to me because of the way this is. We're on page 2, remember?
We are on the last section of services.
Okay. Oops. I don't think I see anything right at the moment.
I have to make a slight edit to the fourth. It's not really a bullet point. The review DPI Wisconsin Public Library standards and work towards Tier 3 status. I think it's fair to work towards Tier 3 status, but I was actually reviewing all of the Tier 3 options, and some of them are not things that actually are things we should work for given our library. So we may not. So I have to change that language a little bit to say work towards Tier 3 status where appropriate, or where we're fitting for our library, because there are just some elements that don't fit our library. I'm really excited. I really want to offer this online chat reference. When you go to banks and stuff, and there's that little thing where it's like, you have a question for a representative.
Oh, yeah.
I can't tell you how many times we get patrons that call and they're at work and they want to put a book on hold, but then all of a sudden you can tell they're busy doing other things. So to be able to actually
do a chat, an online chat.
Yeah, that is great.
It would be cool. And I don't know how many libraries are doing that. In our system. I'm curious. I want to investigate that. The one.
Should that be in here?
It's in here.
Yeah.
It's the.
Okay, I'm sorry. I need to
online
find the
chat
right
reference.
page here again.
Your
Yeah,
instant messaging platform.
Services.
Yeah, it's the last page. The one thing I have to figure out with that is, is there a privacy issue there because people will ask questions? Is that something that becomes public record, right? Like if someone emails me, it becomes a public record.
Okay.
And so would that be, if we consider our reference transactions confidential, right? Mm-hmm. But then our online chat references are logged, are those transcripts part of that open records law, or is it outside of that? And then we just have to make a decision what we want to do with that. So, but I'm very curious about investigating that. The creation of a community corner, that was something else that came out of one of the focus groups, not the community corner specifically, but one of the comments that someone made was, oh, it'd be really nice if you had a Salvation Army drop-off bin, kind of like we do with the used glasses in the food barrel. Now, I don't want a Salvation Army bin because then I'm going to have lamps and stuff piled up in the library. But it made me start to think about, we are a place where there's a lot of foot traffic. A lot of people are coming in all the time. And if there's something that we can do to help with sustainability, like battery recycling bin, marker recycling bin, plastic bag recycling, because right now it seems like you have to go to you go to Target for some of those things, you go to Walmart for some of those things. If we're a one-stop shop for some community recycling stuff that fits, it's not that big to have a battery bin, then...
That just makes me think of something. Miranda Paul, who's a Wisconsin author out of Green Bay, wrote a book about in Africa how they reuse plastic bags.
Oh, interesting.
And I know you've got the book in the library, so it might be kind of a fun way to showcase. And I don't know if they make a book about how to use batteries now, but it just made me think of that there might be a way to tie in certain books about recycling or something like that as well. So and they ended up making money and helping sustain their community by doing. And they picked it all out of the garbage.
Yeah,
all the stuff that they.
That's really great. It's just if it's one more thing to. I don't want to say someone would come to the library just to recycle batteries, but if we can support the community in a variety of ways, if they're all of a sudden coming to the library because they have to check out a book and they can then recycle their batteries and recycle their plastic bags, we've just made ourselves all the more valuable.
And Walmart did food and everything else because everybody, it's one-stop place. So that's...
And there's a value that we have in, the reason why we have a food barrel and why it's so helpful is, the food pantry is only open limited hours. So anyway, I'm excited about exploring that to see if we can help people out.
I think I made my suggestions in the tables.
Oh, in the tables? Okay.
In the narratives.
All right. Packet page 17, communication and outreach. Admittedly, I would say that this is an area that we really need to explore and develop. It's never enough. And, as I sort of mentioned that in this little descriptor here, the challenge is that there are so many platforms now, and the local newspapers are not as high of a circulating material. Not everyone's getting it. And so it used to be that you could advertise in the local paper because everyone got the local paper, and that's what you looked at.
Right.
And so now we have to be in so many different platforms. And just imagine having to put the same content and update and push it out to Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and our online calendar and our print kit. It's actually become quite a more complicated and developed position to have to devote time to. And yet it's necessary. You have to be in all those spaces. And what are the spaces we're missing? So this is an area that we are definitely going to be focusing on, not only to then update the communication and marketing plan, but also even bringing back a library mailer. I really think that when in the focus groups, they talked so much about how our print calendar was of such great value. They like the online calendar, but so many people like to come in, even though it costs us quite a bit of money to print that much color. They like it, they want to put it on the refrigerator, they want it in their hands. And so that made me think, what about a library mailer? Now, we have little sections that go in that city newsletter. Do we want our own, right? The Parks and Rec guide is a standard, right? That's still something that goes to people. So is that something that we can have a bigger piece of the pie on? I know Brookfield Public Library has a whole section. The problem with that is, though, you're dependent upon the timing of Parks and Rec for that. And maybe our programming is planned on a different schedule. So what would it cost to have our own mailer? Or maybe it's not for the entire, it couldn't be for the entire year. But what if we have, like my zoo sends one out once every 3 months, and I look at it and I discover things I didn't know. So I'm very curious what that would cost us, and I think it's worth it because it's something different. It's an area that maybe we've fallen away from, but Could it help?
Just analogous. I mean, people like their paper books. Maybe they like their paper, where other communities maybe that's not as.
Right. I mean, our circulation stats are doing well.
Yeah.
Right. Like,
So
and that's our physical
are oriented to
materials.
paper.
Mm-hmm. So.
Do we share mailers, or not mailers, like the calendar and things with the school libraries? Like, do we ever give our stuff to them so they can give it to kids, or let parents
We
come
send
up?
out a lot of flyers for programs, and I know they try to post the
That's what I
program
mean, stuff like
flyers.
that. Like,
Yeah.
we do advertise in the schools.
But in terms of like us actually sending over our events calendar for the month to them, I don't think we do that.
I don't know if they, I just
Yeah, no, it's a good question though. I mean,
do that.
and for that matter, to the retirement homes. You know,
Oh, for sure.
Yes.
Senior centers.
yeah, that's a better term. Senior centers. Oh, let's see. Anything else on packet page 17? I want to create an online form for feedback. You know, we have that little comment box, but it looks like it came out of the attic, and so I want to draw more attention to it. I want to get a better box, a brighter box, a more inviting one, and then I want to have an online feedback form. I want to have meeting room requests be online, like an online form that you just fill out. You don't have to grab the form, print it off, sign it. Like, that is so antiquated. We can do better. I know we can. So I'm excited to get that done too. And I know our website has the capabilities, because I was looking at something else on the city and I was like, oh, look at that online fillable website form. So that should be feasible. Okay, packet page 18.
Stuff, I don't see it.
The last time I checked the 2035 comprehensive plan that the city did, I bet there's some really good data there. They're not quite ready yet with it. So I wanted to really make a point of noting that, because I wanted the 2035 thing to be something I used to help develop the strategic plan, because I figured there were probably some, again, Muskego community feedback that we might be able to analyze.
I'm
and
sorry,
pull.
really dumb question, but there's 15 years before 2035. Why wouldn't you use an existing plan to draw from?
I don't know. I guess I'm just.
I know it's the new plan.
It's the new plan. It's the new data. So I was just.
But there would be things in the previous 15-year
Probably.
plans that probably would be helpful too. But maybe not.
Probably,
I don't know
yeah.
That's really working far ahead, isn't it?
It is. It is. But I did want to make a point of, because they were holding focus groups too, and I don't know how many people they talked to, but they were probably different people than the people I talked to.
I'm sure they
So
were.
I want to catch that data. And the funding, the support the Friends and Develop a Membership campaign, that is something the Friends and I, we've been talking quite a bit about fundraising and membership, and that is something that will need my attention. We are entering into I think a period of transition, and we need to support the Friends, and they're working really hard to come up with some new ideas.
I found one thing.
Oh, good. What's that?
But it's related. That's what I wrote on. Explore possibility of foundation to support MPL. Is that I don't know where.
And that's different than planned giving, which is what we're investigating
Correct,
right now.
just
Yeah.
the structure.
Yeah.
Because I said when I talked with Pete, he said you could incorporate a friends organization within a foundation, but we don't know enough about how it even works. So
Yeah, I really want to talk to Fort Atkinson, because they have a foundation, so does Pewaukee, and I know that they are lucrative. So we can certainly build in
so that's why I
investigation of
add
foundation.
that item. So and it's in your edits. So
Perfect. Yep.
I'll just write add item.
Yeah, I can confidently say that I know nothing about foundation development, so that will be something that I will gain more information on. Okay.
Sorry, I'm getting tired. It's
Nope.
your fault. I had a really particularly long day today.
Yeah, no, that's... So now we're into the tables, packet page 20. So these tables are exactly what was in the previous pages. They are sorted, again, by strategic initiative, so facility, services, and communication and outreach. I assigned action owners deliberately using the positions and not people, because what if
Things change.
What if things change? What if people change? They should know that the job description is tied to the action.
Yeah.
These tables are not set in stone. It was basically used to help me frame, one, is this a 4-year plan or is it a 3-year plan? So I wanted to add the timetable in. Again, these times could change because we could decide, you know what, we didn't get the capital money for X, so now this project has to move to a different year, or we decide that the outdoor storage shed is not zoned for the back area.
Yep.
We can't. So, but it helped me sort of balance it out, and it helped me, frankly, start to prep, because the other thing that I need to do, not so long after we get this approved, is develop an action plan for 2020, because we need to be ready in January with not only the strategic plan, but an action plan. So this helped me sort of start to get feelers out to what that action plan will look like, too.
Yeah.
So... unless you have a question about either the action owner or the time frame, that would be a good question. Good question for now.
Yeah, the bummer here is that if she edits something in the narrative, then she's got to go back and edit it in the tables and find it.
Yeah.
So
That's okay, though. These documents were very helpful to me, so it's worth it to have to update
I
twice.
think that's the only thing substantively, that it was all mainly just going through and picking out the dots and dashes.
Yeah, and this was very helpful. I appreciate it. So
that
I'll
kind of
continue.
stuff, so.
I'll continue to work through that.
Okay, and I don't know when you want to talk about overall design of the final document and conclusion. I don't know when you might cover
so
those, unless anybody has anything in the tables, but it's pretty much
I read these earlier and
a different
everything.
way
I mean,
of
it
stating what was in the
corresponded.
narrative.
Yeah.
It's a kind of a
You know,
laundry
it's
list.
everything that was in there now put into a table.
And
with
I
the
didn't
time
check
frame,
for
so.
that. You might have left one out or something like that. That I did not check.
Yeah, I'll have someone else do another check for that. So really the question now is, one, are you comfortable? Because I think some of the big things that will probably be asked in the full board is, and I'm going to go through and look at what the board gave from the focus groups and just see if there's any other nugget action items that I want to add in. And again, you'll be able to look at it in November and provide comments. One, are you comfortable with this being a 4-year plan? Two, is the overall format, is there anything big missing? So, right, there's the introduction, there's the strategic statements, there's the strategic narrative, there's the organization of the goals or action items based on goals, and then there is the tables which sort of outline the action owners and time frame. Is there anything big that's missing from this document that doesn't really that creates mystery where there shouldn't be mystery, or that's
Not that I see.
I just noticed that there was a conclusion missing. The ending is somewhat abrupt.
Okay.
So, but we looked at the previous plan, and there really wasn't, surprisingly, a conclusion to speak of in there. I mean, there was that little paragraph at the last page. I frankly don't remember the contents of that.
I can't remember.
But that was the only thing that I noticed, is that, so the last thing you say in the initiatives,
packet page 11.
It stops at the initiatives, and
Yeah.
you go. The tables are typically an index. Okay, so where does, if a conclusion is done, does it belong at the end of the narrative, or does it belong at the end of the tables, or does it not belong at all? So that was the only thing that I noticed that was kind of, glaring is way too strong a word, but that it was missing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think when we looked at that section, it was talking about how, and it sort of makes sense. It was sort
kind of implementation.
It was implementation, and like, how are we gonna know that we're living out the strategic plan? Mm-hmm. And so I took from that and put it in the plan progress area, but does the document feel closed at the end, or does it feel abrupt? Because you can feel that it has 3 sections, basically the setup, and then the outline of the action items, and then the tables. And if there's a conclusion, where does it go, and what else would you want me to say?
So any opinions on that one? Because it doesn't matter to me. I just noticed.
I guess I'm not. Personally, I'm not feeling that
That it's
something's
missing.
missing.
Okay.
I am not. Right.
You concur?
I do.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then leave it out.
I mean,
I know where you're coming from.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what its conclusion would say.
Yeah,
Summarize
that's
what they already
just
said
it.
twice, sort of.
Right.
Except there is no discussion of implementation, which again, maybe that all belongs in the marketing report. I mean, maybe it doesn't even belong in the plan.
Well, what kind of implementation, aside
Kind of
from
that last paragraph that we were talking about, you know,
Yeah,
like,
but
I mean,
what
it was
was-
more, because I don't have any of my documents with me because I couldn't get home in between.
Yeah.
So I don't have it.
I remember the big part of the implementation section was the plan progress. I could go grab it quick if you want me to.
No, I think
I'll study it. If there's anything
I
else
wrote
missing,
something in there asking the question,
Yep.
so hopefully that will remind you. So that was the only thing that I noticed, good, bad, or indifferent.
Do you, based on what the full board in the focus group, and again, like I'll look and see if there was anything big that doesn't match. Was there anything that you can think of based on on their comments today that sort of struck you as interesting, or?
No, because you talk about the water filling station and coffee kept on coming up again.
I know. It's something to explore, certainly, seeing if a company would want to have a relationship in a little spot. What I don't want to do is create, first of all, we do not have to...
Talk to them first.
Yeah, I don't want to create a competition for them.
Right.
That's very true.
So if there's a partnership that can be done that might bring, like maybe have a featured coffee once a month, or maybe they can feature coffee with friends of the first Friday of every month, the friends have coffee. Maybe they could bring that in and people could, I don't know. I would like to explore a relationship, not a competition.
Talk with them
Totally
because they
agree.
may have an idea that we're not even thinking about.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because
So I'll talk with
you
them.
still can't argue that it isn't more convenient to get your coffee inside the building, especially in a cold winter day.
No, that is very
Okay,
true.
So,
Yep.
maybe they would understand that and have a
Yeah.
way to.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Maybe there's a mobile. Maybe
Yeah.
they're thinking of something
Yeah.
that.
like I said, they may have an idea that would work
Right.
beneficially.
So I think it's
both
key to
ways.
approach them first for many
Yeah.
reasons.
Yep.
So
Very much
yes.
so. I will leech off of Michelle's contacts. We'll go together.
And then the other thing was kind of the aesthetic design. We didn't really, talk about. The design last year was kind of bold. I mean, it had the blue and green, at the bottom, and the picture of the library in the front, and like all that. So I don't know if you're looking to do anything different in that regard.
For colors?
I suppose for colors, but for look.
We are bringing in more blues and greens. So we actually have a furniture project this year, and there is going to be more blues and greens coming in. Again, based on the strategic plan, people are talking about lakes, they're talking about nature. So we're trying to phase out the maroon a little bit and bring in more blues and greens with that furniture. So,
But I think on the PowerPoint you had it was much more subdued. I thought that because when you looked at our plan last year, it was pretty bold.
Yeah.
I mean, it was.
oh, I'm sorry. You're talking about color for the plan.
Yeah.
For the
It's
plan,
not
yes.
implementing a color design in the
I
library.
thought. Well, okay, I'll go with what she's saying.
Nope, never go with what I'm saying.
But no, because you showed us
see
some
what you're
much
saying.
more subdued
Yeah.
design or whatever, or
Yeah.
like this.
Yeah, with the grass.
Yeah, and it might be
Because
less
that's the
expensive to
Muskego-
print. I mean,
Right.
just all of that, because there's a lot of
Muskego,
color that
sign
went
has
into that
the
previous
grass,
report.
whatever that's called.
Yeah,
like
the
that.
cattails and stuff.
Yeah.
Yep. So, so
Even if it's printed on paper that has a watermark of the cattails or something,
Yeah.
you might not need any
It-
more than that. Even
I will make this prettier. Is that sort of what you're saying? You want some of the branding and the color tones and the
just some
images?
Yeah, because I mean, again, that cover last year was just kind of, and then it was at the bottom of all the pages, and I don't know if we need to do that. I think it could perhaps be more subtle, but
I will.
Did you've seen it? Do you agree? I don't want to be the only one who.
Yeah, I'll make. This is definitely not a professionally visual document yet, so I will.
So that would be the aesthetics of the document itself. Besides, and the conclusion we've ruled out, but we still got to talk about the aesthetics just a little, and I think you've got that. So
I'll make sure that at least a rendering. I will make sure a rendering of that is done for the November, so you'll be able to see it and say, yes, that's what I meant, or you completely.
I think that would be a good idea, and make it something that's inexpensive to copy, but yet copy in color. I think that's. Because that must have cost a fortune to copy that
with
report
all those
last
different
year.
colors.
So
I understand.
The nature theme, it can be much more subdued.
Yeah.
So.
I kind of like your idea of like the cattails just
kind
of
the watermark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of a cool idea.
Okay. Excellent. Anything else?
Anything else, ladies? Well, I think I don't even want to say have an excellent start, because I think we're way beyond the start.
Yeah.
But, and that's,
I think it's looking really good.
So I guess the question will be if we can get it voted on in December. That's going to be the...
Yeah, I'm curious. I'm not confident yet.
Is there any way that we can get it voted on in November?
And that really depends on the board, right? Like if people, they'll be seeing it for the first time. You guys have seen it a couple of times, right?
Seen it
It's. I always think about like people. I'm ready to move forward on something, but I've been looking at it for how long? You guys will have been looking at it for how long? And what I will try to make a deeply concerted effort to do is get this board packet out even earlier than I normally try to do it the Thursday before the Tuesday. I will try to do it even earlier just to give people as much time as possible
to read
through it.
It's very possible then if they have an extra time and have the time to read it, that there could be a vote.
Yeah, and I will put on the agenda
Please
discussion/action, and I will send out an email. And if we can get it done, great. And if there's
lots of discussion going on, then we may have to put it off until December.
I remember right last strategic plan. I mean, they pretty much were like, "Whoa, this is really great," and just kind of said, "Okay, here you go."
Yeah.
There was no need to postpone for another month. So I would agenda the item with potential action.
Absolutely, I will do that
just in case because of the quorum issue and all that as well. So.
Yeah, no,
Give
I will.
it a shot, anyways.
Yeah. Can always defer to the next month.
All right, I will do that.
Alrighty.
So what
under new business.
Yeah. So then, what I'm looking for is a vote that the Strategic Planning Committee recommends this draft with some continued edits to be presented to the full board in November.
Okay. Well, I guess I can repeat what you just said here. Looking for a motion to take action by voting on the strategic plan by sending, I'm not saying that right, to vote to recommend the strategic plan to the full library board with edits as discussed this evening.
So you need like me to say
I didn't do it very well, so we'll do it again.
No, so you're looking for a motion. I will make a motion for that.
Second.
Thank you, Michelle. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Hearing none opposed, motion passes. So what we have just done is, it's I think pretty self-explanatory, but so that's what we were just talking about, is that in November we will have the recommendation. It's already going to the library board, but then we're also suggesting that maybe they might even want to vote on it.
Yep.
So,
Sounds like a good plan.
all right. I am not aware, unless you are, Brittany, of any communications and miscellaneous business as authorized by law. Hearing none. Look for a motion to adjourn.
I will make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Camille.
Second again.
Second from Michelle. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye at 7:30. 7:28.